Okay, so I was going to start working on the roll pan, but I decided instead to do a little work where I'm standing up for a little while. And I have to stabilize these quarters, and the way I'm going to do it is to complete these closures on to the left and the right sides to solidify these from rotating or moving in and out. One of the things that has to be considered when you're doing some of these cars, if you're going to make it a streetable car and not just a, what I call a sunny day driver, is if they've designed the car a certain way and you're modifying it for shedding rain, you have to take into consideration what they did. Now you can see that any water that would get by or into this valley over here, coming off either the top of the deck lid or off of the quarter panel top, would drop down, and it would follow down this little gutter down here. Normally it would hit this area here, roll off, and then just drop out of the car to the ground, because there was a rubber bumper here. There's nothing to damage below this point here, so the water would just shed away off the back window, down this gutter, around the deck lid, and then out and then down. Unfortunately, now I've got this longer overhang here, so that means that any water shed in this direction goes right into the bottom of the quarter panel. So now I have to make a dam to prevent the water from going in that direction into the quarter panel. And then also I have to make sort of another gutter that will counteract this gutter in an angle here and direct the water all the way to the end here to where it's clear and it can run back out of the car between the bumper structure and this inner structure right here. So, it's something that you can easily overlook, but, it could bite you if you decide to take your car to a show when it's far away and you get caught in a rainstorm. All of these areas have to be considered, because you don't want rain pouring into the vehicle, soaking your rugs or your custom interior, or things like that. So it's just something that's functional that has to be dealt with, and I'm going to deal with that right now. Well, it's back there trying to visualize how many different ways water could cause me some issues back there, and what will be the simplest way to keep water out of different areas. I was staring down at these housings, realizing that, it was pretty clever of me to put all this stuff in here the way I did, but then you could stick your finger in here. This is not sealed up to the weather in any way, shape, or form. Well, that's because these housings are inside of this housing. These are not perfectly fit to that. And so I'm thinking, wow, how the heck am I going to get this all sealed up? That'll be a mess. Filling out with epoxy or something like that, trying to keep it out of where the bulb sets right in here. There's a little surface here, the little ridge. That's all got to be kept clean and clear of how the bulb snaps in and twists. And in the department of, I'd rather be lucky than smart. This is just PVC pipe. Inside dimension is 1.5 inches, slightly larger, about 1 5/8 inches. And believe it or not, it fits right on the outside of that little raised ring. You see that little raised ring right there? So I'll be able to glue that in there. That'll be sealed to that inner housing. And then, get this thing back up on here. The drill jig coming in handy here. Then I'll be able to seal around the outside here and cut the excess off, and then it'll be sealed. This entire thing will be sealed because that has a rubber gasket that goes in there with the bulb. So I got lucky. This one's going to be a little bit more of a challenge because it's a little tighter quarters, but hey, 4 out of 6, that's not bad. So same thing over here. Both of these fit over just nicely. So it's better just to make the housing a little bit more waterproof than to worry about how the water's going to get in here and cause some problems with the electrical. So in case you're wondering what I was using to seal up these housings, what sticks to all these materials, I just tripped across this pretty recently, over the counter, Home Depot. JB Weld has a plastic bonder that's pretty good. It's got a pretty tight bond on putting plastic parts together. So that's what I glued the PVC down to the light housings initially with, and then I backfilled it once that was set up with this is a product called Fusor T21, and it's made by Lord, and I've got this on eBay. I used to use it at work, and I was happy to see I could just get it on eBay. It's a panel adhesive used in the automotive industry, and I thought it was only commercially available, but like I said, you can get it on eBay, and it's not cheap, but it solves a world of problems because it sounds like Bondo when it's dried up, but it's waterproof. Bondo's water resistant, but it will let moisture through. If you have any places that you want to make sure are good and sealed up, this is a pretty good sealer. Hardens up, and like I said, you could sand it like Bondo if you want it to look neat, or use it as a foundation for a Bondo top coat. Okay, so here's the end product. After I epoxied in those pieces of PVC, and then I found a small piece of metal pipe for the center one here that was the right dimension, and I glued that in and epoxied around that, and ground it off and give it a little light dusting of some aluminum, flat aluminum paint, just so it was uniform in appearance. And that should do the trick as far as keeping the water out of the housing. Now it is open on the bottom where the old bulb went through, and I'm going to leave those open just in case any water does get in the housing, and that'll give it someplace to drain. But other than that, at least if there's a waterfall falling down over top of this, because of the way I've configured the trunk closure, that it won't be an issue as far as getting into the electricals. Okay, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, as they say. Spent a good bit of time making this panel yesterday, as closing up this inside area, providing a window and a place, a recess here, and banding the inside so the edges weren't sharp, in order to create a window so you can get in here and change the side marker bulb. So I was going to have a little access panel that was going to be screwed in here. But I got to looking at it, and once it was in, there's plenty of access under here. There's going to be a removable panel on top here. So with this panel lifted out, you can get in there. It's a little, you have to kind of, you have to lean in there a little bit, but it's easy to get a bulb in and out, or a socket in and out of that. You can see through here. This is the side marker over here. So I just merrily went along making this, assuming that I wouldn't be able to get in any way to get that bulb. But now that it's in there, it's pretty obvious. And this creates another water infiltration issue of trying to seal up this removable panel, because water will definitely fall over the edge of this quarter panel and down into this compartment here. So in order to eliminate all of that, I'm just going to take this back out, and I'm going to make another one that's just going to be a solid panel there. Okay, so this is where I'm at now. I got rid of that side panel that I started with, the closure panel that had the little window in it. And there's really no need for that to be there. As you can see down through here, you can get into the side marker light and change the bulb or plug in just fine underneath of that closure panel. And what's going to happen over here is this is going to be filled with seam sealer here through this area here. So any water coming down off of this will hit this area here, which you can see this is already V-shaped over here. I just completed it, and it's going to channel the water down through there and out of the car onto the ground. And understand, I'm not trying to make this waterproof. This is just channeling the big stuff away so it's not a disaster, gathering up in pockets in the quarter panels and things like that, and rinsing over all the electrics. So I also added a rim to the back of the bumper here, plug welded this on the top, and This is basically an area that's going to receive the plastic panel that'll create this closure from this point to this point. There's a little 90-degree bend over here, and it's actually going to fasten through the sides and with a little fold up. And let me see if I got that ABS plastic around here someplace. This is the same stuff that I used to finish out the inner wheel tubs with. It's a 16th inch ABS plastic, and you see that I just put it in a sheet metal brake and I cold bent it, put a brake on it, and it'll fit in on top of here just like that, and it'll fasten through the sides, and it'll close up everything here. So the majority of the water is basically going to hit this panel. It'll roll off. Now you can see these little pronouncements here, or these are kind of bulged up here. This is an attachment point for the old extension panel that used to be here. And what that does is it allows water to weep in underneath here and then roll down off of here. Any water that gets in to this cavity here, as you can see, there's these little grooves here, so this is not solid. If water gets into this hole here, it has a chance to escape over here. So this is meant to be kind of a waterfall back here. It's sloped downwards, and this panel will be up on top here. It'll be gapped there, and it's tilted in this direction from the bumper, so that any water getting in over the deck lid also will all run down in this direction, hit this waterfall area, run this way, and then down. Again, this is not meant to be, perfectly waterproof. This is just meant to guide the big stuff out and away from the car, to keep it from gathering up inside the quarter panels or any other pockets that I might have. Like I said, I'm going to have to drill some holes in the quarter panels anyway to create some drainage, just in case anything does get into them, but I'd rather keep it out in the first place. So that's where I'm at now. Next, I'll have to make up this plastic panel and then move on. Okay, as with everything else, starts out with a paper pattern. These are little stobs, hard stobs that you can adjust up and down to get your deck lid tension just right as far as latching it and getting rid of any rattle. Doesn't really rattle. This is pretty stiff, this seal. So this is just redundant, but put them in there anyway. And then there's just these 3 plastic attachment points. And I said I was going to fold this up to the side, but I think that's excessive. I'm just going to attach it at a few spots back here and a few spots in the front there, and I think that'll be it. So now I'm just going to cut it out with the black ABS plastic and go on from here. Okay, so here it is all in its wondrous glory. I'd add a couple more fastening spots there to try and eliminate some of the rattle of the panel. So, those three buttons that hold it down up front are not quite enough for this panel. I might have to end up having to glue some foam on the backside too, just to kind of deaden it down in case it does start to rattle a little bit. But anyway, that's what it's looking like right now. All these Cleco holes eventually will be replaced by black tech screws, and that'll finish that out. So it's time to get back down on the floor and start messing with the roll pan. Well, here's what I've been wrestling with for the last couple of days now, trying to get this roll pan established. Number of obstacles, one of them being there's a bottom area over here that, if you remember, I cut the bevels in the bottom of the trunk in order to make it look like it was, fading away. Unfortunately, that is not a symmetrical pan under there, and once I put this roll pan on there, it kind of brought it right to your eye that the one side was differently shaped than the other side. So what I've done is I've created a cover panel here that it'll also be blacked out, won't be body color, so it'll be the same as the chassis underneath there. I just left it unpainted so you could see it right now. You can see I temporarily tacked in the exhaust tips to see what the relationship would be to that, but So anyway, this is kind of a difficult area to work in because nothing's really accessible at this point. So having to take it on and off a bunch of times, get up off the floor, reshape it, get it back down on the floor, fit it up about 1,000 times before I got it right. And then, of course, like I said, that bottom area over there was really bothering me a lot. And so I fixed that panel up to cover that irregularity, so it's just a straight across deal. And like I said, it'll be painted flat black like the rest of the chassis underneath there. It's just to straighten out some of those lines. I was going to get, elaborate, put some sort of, some ducting or some venting there or something like that. But, I was starting to get a little too busy down there, just too much going on. So I decided to back off of it and just put a simple panel there. I will have to ventilate that panel though. And the fact that it'll, unless I decide to dam it up on the front side, which I'll have to, go around all those irregularities with some sheet metal, then I'll have to seal it up and a whole bunch of other stuff. It's probably just easier just to ventilate it at the bottom. And not a perfect world, but I think it's the best I can do to deal with that particular problem right there. But I don't think it's going to be as visible now as it was when it was all different irregular shapes under there. Okay, I just wanted to say that I'll be off of this. Probably won't see much progress for the next week. I've got some other things I have to deal with, so that's going to probably be the last update for at least 2 weeks on this project. Not that I won't be piddling here and there on it, but I won't probably generate enough material for a 15-minute video. Anyway, thanks for watching and have a good time. Thanks.